The Hill reported, Jones, the host of the radio program InfoWars, has alleged multiple times that the massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School that killed 20 children was a hoax. Trump praised Jones in December of 2015, telling him, "Your reputation is amazing. I will not let you down." Trump appeared on Jones's show in December. "We are asking you to intervene to try to stop Jones and other hoaxers like him," the letter to Trump reads. The school board sent the letter in February asking Trump to denounce Jones and other conspiracy theorists because of the harmful effects their comments have had on the victims' families, but have yet to receive a response. ABC News reported that since the 2012 massacre, relatives of victims have been harassed by conspiracy theorists and have even received death threats.
This message is not for the fake news media, the corporate news media that got caught lying to us with hundreds of fake polls during the election, lying about Hillary being invincible, the same folks that got caught doing fake news broadcasts, the same people that got caught with fake guests and interviewing their own reporters, the same people that got caught giving Hillary the debate questions beforehand repeatedly. This is not a message for them. They're always going to lie. It's what they do. They're paid to do it. It's why they have almost no audience. But I do want to reach out to the victims of criminal crime out there, whether it be a baseball bat, a car, a gun, a knife. I want to reach out to my listeners as well and just clarify where I stand on the reported tragedy at Sandy Hook that took place at that elementary school. For the last 3 or 4 years, it's been mainstream media's #1 attack against me to say that I said that there was never anyone that actually died there. I've hosted debates between both sides, and I've been criticized by both sides. People that say that no one died there, and people that say that the official story is exactly as we've been told. And I've always said that I'm not sure about what really happened, but there's a lot of anomalies, and there has been a cover-up of whatever did happen there. There's a few clips Hillary used in her campaign of me out of context saying, I can see how people that look at all this evidence say no kids died there, and this whole thing's a giant hoax. But at the same time, there is some evidence people died there. They take that out of context and misrepresent it. That's why they're the deceptive corporate media. But for those that do have an attention span for, say, 10 minutes or so, I will present to you the questions. And I'm going to be quite frank. I don't know what really happened. I know there are real mass shootings. I know people lose children. I'm a father. It hurts my heart. So I don't know what the truth is. All I know is the official story of Sandy Hook has more holes in it than Swiss cheese.
There has been a shooting incident of some nature at Sandy Hook Elementary School.
Federal agents say they recovered 2 high-powered pistols from the scene and a semi-automatic rifle called a Bushmaster.
They say now that there were actually 4 handguns recovered inside the school, not just 2 as we were initially told. 4 handguns, and apparently only handguns that were taken into the school.
All the ones that I know of at this point were caused by the long weapon.
So the rifle was the primary weapon?
Yes.
It's believed at this hour, and it's been confirmed to ABC News by state police there in Connecticut, that 2 shooters were initially believed involved in the mass shooting. One of those shooters now dead.
They did walk a guy out of the woods. I saw him walk a guy out earlier with handcuffs. He walked by us and said he didn't do it.
It was a grown man?
A grown man, yeah. He's sitting in the front of the police car over there now.
How was he dressed?
Camo pants with a dark jacket.
Well, they have an individual in custody who they're talking to, and I am told they are looking at this person as possibly a second shooter. Now that changes the dynamic here a little bit.
They had their entire lives ahead of them. Birthdays, graduations, weddings, kids of their own.
I mean, he's a worse actor than Glenn Beck with Glenn Beck's fake crime, okay? I mean, this is disgusting.
Okay. So my name's Robbie Parker.
One thing that's becoming somewhat of a concern, and that is misinformation that's being posted on social media sites. These issues are crimes. They will be investigated statewide and federally, and prosecution will take place when people perpetrating this information are identified.
Board members, these are your children, and you would let paramedics and EMTs into the building? You got 27 children declared dead within 8 minutes? Who does this? Who is so great at that job?
I don't know if they staged this one, but the same familiar telltale signs are now coming out. Now, to be clear, corporate media wants to misrepresent what I've said, so this is not for them. But I'm going to do my best to lay out my questions here. I've got more than 20 news articles and video clips to go over. Number one, the day before this tragic event happened, an email was sent out by Bloomberg's anti-gun group saying, prepare for a big event. But the biggest piece of evidence, the smoking gun, if you would, of a cover-up, of whatever really happened, is the Wayback Machine, the Internet Archive. We see Sandy Hook's Newtown website, K through 12, having zero traffic, 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then all of a sudden, it just explodes. It's impossible to have zero traffic to a K through 12 entire school system. And the word is that school system was shut down for those years. That's what the records show. But they tell us it was open. I don't know if the moon landings were faked, but I don't put anything past these anti-gunners. And early on that day, we watched footage of kids going in circles in and out of the building. You'd be running them away from the building. Emergency helicopters weren't called. Instead, porta potties were prepared for the press within hours of the event. I saw the helicopters that did respond, the police helicopters, saying that there were men or a man in the woods in camouflage. The media later said that was a conspiracy theory. So early on, I'm like, well, I saw local news of the guy in the woods and they took him in custody. Now they're saying it never happened. So that shows there's some type of cover-up happening. And then I saw Anderson Cooper. I've been in TV for 20-something years. I know a blue screen or a green screen. Turn, and his nose disappear. Then I saw clearly that they were using footage on the green screen, looped, because it would show flowers and other things during other broadcasts that were moving and then basically cutting to the same piece of footage. Then I saw CNN do faked satellite interviews with reporters clearly with the same traffic and the same cars right behind them conducting the interview face to face. Then we see footage of one of the reported fathers of the victims, Robbie Parker, doing classic acting training where he's laughing and joking and they say, hey, we're live. And he goes, oh. And maybe that's real. I'm sure it is.
They're getting ready to come to the microphone, so we'll listen in. Okay.
So my name's Robbie Parker. My family is one of the families that lost a child yesterday in the Sandy Hook Elementary School shootings here in Connecticut.
But you add it to all the other things that were happening and all the other fake news the media has been caught in. And CNN back in 1991 openly faking Scud missile attacks on Saudi Arabia and Israel when they were back in Atlanta and the satellite feeds caught them admitting that it was all fake. We'd be crazy not to question this because bare minimum, they were faking some of the shots and some of the coverage.
A cloud of something. It looks like it might have been an explosion, a cloud. I'd say.
So to be clear, we point out clear chroma key, also known as blue screen or green screen, being used, and we're demonized. We point out they're clearly doing fake interviews. We point out that normal emergency procedures weren't followed. And their answer is to say that we said nobody died.
And ladies and gentlemen, the questions I ask are not offensive to any parent who lost a child that day. They're not offensive to the Connecticut State Police. They're not offensive to anyone. They're such simple questions. Why no trauma helicopters? Why would you not let paramedics, board members, these are your children, and you wouldn't let paramedics and EMTs into the building? You got 27 children declared dead within 8 minutes? Who does this? Who is so great at that job?
Columbine happened in the 1990s when there were less surveillance cameras, and we got play-by-play, blow-by-blow. We got the surveillance footage all released. They sealed the surveillance footage. They sealed the death certificates. They sealed everything in Connecticut like it was more secret than the Manhattan Project. This has never been done in any other case. Look at the headlines. Privacy versus transparency. Connecticut bans access to many homicide records post Newtown. School shooting expert threatened over Sandy Hook investigation. Feds came to his house, you name it, said you better drop it. Newtown destroys suspected Sandy Hook shooter's home. Turns out he got the gun illegally from his mother and didn't buy it illegally in the open market. But the media still lies and says he did and filed a lawsuit against Bushmaster. Then we have the bank burning down Adam Lanza's home so no one could buy it and investigate it. They didn't just burn down Adam Lanza's home to get rid of it. They didn't just seal all the records. No. When they demolished the school, they made everybody that was part of it sign non-disclosures. And then this Agatha Christie whodunit gets even weirder. Rob Dew's uncle, respected FBI agent that runs his own big security firm, is at the foyer meeting that our reporter's at and tells our reporter he's never seen anything like this before concerning the cover-up.
All these bureaucracies have paper trails, and it just doesn't add up. And that's what my uncle said.
So, yeah, tell us everything he said.
So I said, what did you think? He said, well, I've never sat in a court proceeding like this ever in my life. I said, what do you mean? He goes, here's, you got this small town, the biggest event in their history by far, and nobody knows nothing, nobody remembers anything, and there's no paperwork for anything.
No paperwork.
I just don't understand how this is going on in this small town. And I go, well, what do you mean? He goes, even when we were, going after the mob, we never had a case where nobody knew nothing, He said, I just couldn't understand it, how in this small town, nobody knows anything. The school board guy doesn't know anything. The maintenance guy doesn't know anything. The head select woman doesn't know anything. Stuff is being delivered, and nobody knows how it got there.
So this town's mascot is Sergeant Schultz.
Essentially, yeah.
You learn a lot over the years running a major media operation like InfoWars. And one thing I've discovered is that when MSM attacks you on something, a lot of times it's because it's your strongest information. And they want to discourage you from covering it. They want to make you think that you're discredited because you're talking about it. It's kind of like saying, oh, you're all discredited because you're for Trump. He's going to lose by 20 points. Everybody knows he's a loser. And it's the same thing with this Sandy Hook. I've moved on from this story. But they're always attacking, saying, I'm going after family members of victims. This is a tragedy. I wish it never would have happened. But quite frankly, I wish that the official story was true, because that's a lot less scary than them staging something like this. But when you think about how they staged WMDs to kill over 1 million Iraqis, when you think about all the other hoaxes, all the other lies, all the other rigging, and the way they're freaking out about it and trying to cover up every level of it, it just makes me ask what really happened there. Because I've hosted debates, as I said, where we showed both sides of it. We'll show you a clip of that.
Well, because you don't want people walking around. Their ID cards, and they've got like a chip on them. So that, you have to go in there and say, well, I'm so-and-so, I'm a parent, or I'm a reporter, or something like that. They give you an ID card, which will track your movements, which makes sense. It really does make sense. So, there's an explanation for pretty much everything. And if there's something out there that sounds compelling, we research it, my friend and I, C.W. Wade, and we either give an answer to the question, or we address the topic, or we debunk the claim. I hate that word debunking, because I really do hate the word debunking, but it really fits, because a lot of these things are just ludicrous, these claims that are being made out there.
All right. Mr. Halbig, do you have any response to anything we were just talking about?
Well, let's go back with what you said about the food. If you recall, you saw it on the hood of Master Sergeant Davis's car. Rob, I want you to picture this. They actually carry all those bananas. Now think about it. Who went shopping for bananas? You know how picky people are when they pick out their bananas at the store? Somebody, while there are 20 children shot 3 to 11 times, teacher shot 3 to 11 times, somebody goes shopping for bananas, sub sandwiches, Doritos, Gatorade, chips, and they bring it back to the crime scene. And that's not it. They don't eat lunch out there in the parking lot. They actually took the food. If Keith will look, they took the food and had lunch inside the school. Now that's a crime scene. Who in the hell is going to eat lunch where children's dead body fluids, blood spatter, brain tissues, they're all over the school? And you talk about porta potties? Look at the picture that the crime scene photographer took inside the school. There is one picture with 7 urinals, 9 toilet stalls, brand new, and they have to order porta potties?
When I sit there and read quotes of other people saying they believe it's staged, the media knows full well they take that out of context and have me definitively saying it, when I've always said I don't know what happened there, but it needs to be looked into. And why should anybody fear an investigation if they have nothing to hide? In fact, isn't that in Shakespeare's Hamlet? Methinks you protest too much. So here is my statement for the media when they call up saying, where do you stand on this? Where I've always stood. When there were other mass shootings, I would simply point out that they're very rare statistically, and why should we all give up our rights because some other bad person does something? A guy with a car runs over 50 people. Do we ban driving cars? It's the same thing. And there have been other instances of shootings that are very suspicious. Aurora is one. Just look into that. But this particular case, they are so scared of investigation. So everything they do basically ends up blowing up in their face. So you guys are going to get what you want now. I'm going to start reinvestigating Sandy Hook and everything else that happened with it. I'm Alex Jones signing off for Infowars.com. If you're watching this transmission, think for yourself. I know it's a thought crime. And then ask yourself, what is it so strange about Sandy Hook and that tragedy? But I will say this finally, my heart does go out to all parents that lose children, whether it's to stabbings or whether it's to car wrecks or whether it's to stranglings or whether it's to blunt force trauma or murder, firearms, whatever the case is. I'm a parent, and my heart goes out to all parents that have lost children in these tragic events. And so if children were lost in Sandy Hook, my heart goes out to each and every one of those parents and the people that say they're parents that I see on the news. The only problem is I've watched a lot of soap operas, and I've seen actors before. And I know when I'm watching a movie and I know when I'm watching something real. Let's look into Sandy Hook.
What do you think should happen? Should Trump denounce Alex Jones, or praise the man, for having open eyes to things that clearly weren't adding up? Post your comments in the section below. This has been a Next Generation News Network production. If you would like to see more videos like these in the future, please like, comment and subscribe.